Yes, you can carry it off, darling. You don't let anyone bully you for wearing pink bubbles on your jumper, right? You're butchy enough, you can deal with it. So no, I'm not making this video about my dog, but I just thought that was cute, so... I want to talk about Melanie Boudreaux Pawlowski. She's obviously someone who is on a lot of our minds. And there's lots of questions being asked. Sorry, this is shaky. I just wasn't sitting comfortably. Squeak, squeak. There are a lot of questions around her and why would she orbit around Lori? What is the gravity field? Why does that exist between her and Lori, and what was appealing? Why would she leave her young, handsome husband, her many young, vulnerable children, to hitch her apple cart to the horse of Lori Cox? Well, Melanie is a damaged person. She has trauma in her background to an extremely high degree, and not only from, being a young girl of 9 years old who's already been separated from her mother for 3 years under difficult circumstances, confusing circumstances, traumatized by the death of her mother, separation from things that she would have known about life at that time. She's a hurt, lost young child who's reconnected with American Gothic family, the Coxes, at the age of 15, extremely vulnerable age, extremely impressionable age, extremely, just such a tender age. And if you're a woman, and you never forget being a young woman of 14, 15, 16, etc. You never forget those years. And Melanie has come into the fold of this family thinking that she's coming back to family, back to love and light, and making these connections with roots and people that are her people, and she thinks she's finding the thing that was stolen from her, ripped from her, and what she is finding is just all a farce. What she's finding, it doesn't exist. It's all smoke and mirrors. She has come to the devil, basically. She's come to the dark. The reason why I just propped my little Demian book up there, actually, Herman Hesse, is because, as some of you might know, I did start reading that and uploading it, but I'd prefer you just to read it. I mean, and then we can discuss it. It discusses themes of light and dark. That is something that the protagonist, Emil Sinclair, is obsessed with and discusses and makes, his life's meaning is life and dark, light and dark. Anywho, Melanie Boudreaux, she goes back to the Cox family. Just trying to recall her initial name. Starts with C, also Cope, was it? I have a feeling, because that's sort of some sort of irony. She finds her way back into the den with these crocodiles, with this American Gothic family, and is indoctrinated again into another culture and another mindset, and is manipulated and twisted yet again in her young life. And I think we would find that the Boudreaux family were a family that was sort of interlocked with the Cox family, and that it would have been like an ideal sort of setup for little Melanie to be pushed toward little Brandon. And, you know, for Brandon and Melanie, it would have been, yep, what a great sort of joining of families. And she's had these children with Brandon, but all this time she's got feelings of shame, such guilt. She's never felt clean. She's never felt she's never been able to like herself. She's always felt tainted, harmed, hard done by, lied to. This woman has so many negative feelings, so much to try and deal with. And Auntie Lori has offered her redemption, salvation, different status altogether, and a different way of life, and a different way of thinking about her life, and a fresh start. She's offered her elevation. She's offered her a way to just discard all that shame, to move on, recreate herself, rebuild herself, even to the point of these little kittywinks, these little children are part of that. They are Boudreaux, and she might want custody, but she would want them to be in this new life with her, boots and all. And if not, well, filicide isn't off the table. That's why Melanie found Lori to be such a shining, powerful star to orbit around. She couldn't help but be sucked in, because she wants healing. She wants to leave all that shit behind so badly. She's in an awful lot of pain. Now, this doesn't make her innocent of anything. And it looks from paperwork like she is going to be charged with conspiracy, at least, to murder her very own husband, Brandon Boudreaux. We all know when that happened. That was when Chad Daybell himself was seen at the storage unit with a tyre in his hand, with a Jeep back seat in his hand, with Lori Vallow's ass cheek in his hand. I'm only saying Lori Vallow because that's who she was married to then, but she's a Cox through and through. Anyone listening to me is probably of the same belief that we just call her Lori Cox or Lori Cox Daybell. Wasn't it brilliant? Didn't we just all get a little, frisson of pleasure every time the judge called her Mrs. Vallow or Ms. Daybell? Anything but the Mrs. Daybell that Lori Cox wanted to be validated with. So funny. Yeah, we know that the charges are going to be changed. They keep getting the ante upped over there, don't they? And yep, we know where it's all heading. So that's wonderful. The announcement that, Lori's charges are being changed. So clap, clap, clap. It's not a bad thing that they're taking their time. And the reason why that is, it's actually, look, yes, we got a conviction with the Chris Watts shit stain. However, did we really need that lie detector test to be taken right then and there. Did we really need the walking shit stain of Chris Watts to be able to, confess? Yes, we all want a confession. He confessed to murdering his beautiful wife, Shanann Ruzek. He said that she killed their darling daughters, Bella and Celeste. Now, this should never have been allowed to happen, and I hate that. I hate that this was the way that we got this confession of this obviously very guilty man. It didn't have to happen this way. It was going to happen, and instead we get him convicted, allowing him to say that his wife killed her daughters. How disgusting. I'm sorry, Frederick County Police. I know you went through a lot. Sorry, Tammy. I know you all went through a lot, but it's so distasteful and it didn't need to happen. The plaque is distasteful nearly for that reason. I know you had to go out to oil batteries. I know people had to retrieve the bodies of Bella and Celeste out of those oil batteries, and man, but you know, that investigation didn't need to be closed because you had a lot going for you. There was a lot of information and things could have been a lot different, and it's allowed haters of Shanann to continue to this day to try hard to destroy the reputation of a person. Doesn't matter what you personally think about Shanann. If you think you would have liked her IRL, doesn't matter what you thought about her videos, about what she did to make a living, to try and have a beautiful life. It doesn't matter what you think about how she presented herself and her family. None of that matters. Because there's one person that killed those children that we know of, and that is Chris Watts, and nothing that Shanann could have done or said, and nothing, that innocent children, Bella and Celeste, could have done or said, brings any victim guilt to them at all. And that is disgusting. There are people actually trying to trying to elevate themselves in some way, and I don't know how they see it as such, but they're just looking for some sort of reaction and just for some sort of pats on the back or something for, pointing out that Kay and Larry Woodcock at one time couldn't take on the care of JJ. As if that, they're also, hurting now, but they said they didn't want him. Their business took precedence. Well, look, Larry Woodcock are nearly as old as my parents, and a baby that's been born to someone with drug issues, a baby that they loved from the time it was born, this baby was born, a boy called JJ. Well, how do you think two people in their 70s or whatever are going to look after a young child with special needs? Especially when probably maybe they are trying to run a business because they need to live. And when there is a seemingly loving person, Lori Vallow, married to a beautiful person, Charles Vallow, who are relatively youthful, who have means and capacity, and also family like this, another sister there, a sister there for JJ. It's a no-brainer really, isn't it? So maybe that had to go through some court system because Kay Woodcock is more related, and due process needs to be done so that Lori Vallow at the time and Charles Vallow can adopt this vulnerable, precious child. Oh, but some people want to bring up that Kay and Larry, basically trying to say that they rejected him and now they make a big deal. No, Kay and Larry always wanted JJ, and yes, they would have taken him in a flash. And yes, it is disgusting that Lori tried to make out that, oh, it would have to be something like Lori having cancer before she could persuade Kay and Larry to take JJ. No, 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 no. So anyone that's been saying that, you disgust me, and yes, you disgust the people that would know this case as well. And things might be in black and white for a reason, and that's okay, because there's only... Look at my mess out there. There's only people in the world. Okay, so there's, there are the perpetrators and there are the others, and it doesn't matter what the others have done. The perpetrators are wholly responsible for JJ's death, Tylee's death, Charles's death, etc., etc., Bella, Celeste and Shanann, etc., etc. Okay, got it?